With so many tools of destruction at your disposal, it can get a little confusing, but fear not, I'm Aski and I'm here to tell you everything there is to know about weapons in Wasteland 2. So let's start out with the basics. There are three major categories that weapons fall into: melee, firearms and heavy weapons. Then within each of these major categories there are smaller ones, so for example firearms contains handguns, assault rifles, shotguns and more. All of these smaller weapon categories have their own attributes that must be leveled up to make a ranger more effective with each one. So for example, your big tough guy might handle a knife like a ninja, but hand him a knuckle duster and he punches like a girl. The same goes for firearms. A deadly sniper might be terrible with a handgun if he doesn't have them both leveled up. It's a good idea to have a range of weapons being used by your team, and stacking up all your rangers with a similar weapon type can leave them competing for ammo and cause problems further down the line. Melee weapons are used in close quarter combat. They include blades like knives and axes, blunt weapons like bats, crowbars and pipes, and lastly brawler weapons like knuckle dusters and claws. Bladed weapons generally give you an option to attack diagonally or have a 10% chance to cause bleeding, and sometimes both, whereas brawler weapons won't allow you to attack diagonally but will give you a 20% chance to cause concussions and allow you to make lots of attacks per turn. Lastly, the blunt weapons seem to fall somewhere in the middle. You can attack from an angle with them all and also cause concussion, but only at a 10% rate. Things like damage and armor penetration range from weapon to weapon, but they all balance out pretty well when you factor in the action point costs. Next up are the firearms. These make up the majority of the weapons in the game. All of these except for energy weapons can cause bleeding on targets. Assault rifles are a favourite of many rangers with a combination of good range and damage. Handguns are often used by specialists like surgeons. They have a lower range, but their low cost to attack means they can potentially make another action on their turn other than just shooting. Shotguns fire in a cone in front of them. With a similar max range to a handgun, it allows rangers to deal damage to more than one target at once. Submachine guns fire more than a single bullet per attack, giving good damage and a nice chance of landing critical hits, even if their base damage per bullet isn't that high. Sniper rifles are the longest range firearms and also deal massive damage. However, they cost a lot to fire, so your sniper is unable to move a large distance and attack on the same turn. Energy weapons are a little bit more confusing. They work by taking into account the weapon's armor threshold. So, if your weapon's armor threshold is more than your target's armor, you will deal less damage than if your weapon's armor threshold is below your target's. Plus, they never jam. So lastly we have the heavy weapons. Machine guns fire a lot of shots per turn, but they're pricey on action points, limiting your movement options if you want to attack as well. Rocket launchers deal big damage and then also have an area of splash damage around the target, however they are seriously pricey on the action points. Lastly, grenades provide some great armor penetration and an AoE of splash damage, making them great for hitting targets that are behind cover. So as I mentioned at the start, make sure to pay attention to what kinds of ammo your ranger's weapons are going to be using. If you find yourself with a whole team using the same rounds, you're going to have serious ammo problems. Some weapons are very situational. In a good position, a sniper can be the most effective member of your team during an encounter, but if he falls behind, he can't move to catch up and shoot effectively on the same turn. It's important to have a balance. You want assault rifles and other firearms to cover most situations, but close-up melee rangers as well as long-range snipers can be important members of your team, and if they get in good positions they can deal some great damage. When it comes to picking a particular weapon over another one, an important statistic to look at is damage per action point, and then do the math on how much this could be in a single turn. You can often find that a weapon with a slightly lower damage in total might allow you to use the attack twice in a single turn, giving more damage overall. As I mentioned before, armor penetration should also be taken into account, as well as range and critical multipliers. The weapons that look the best at first glance aren't always the best when you stop and look a little bit deeper, so make sure to read all the stats and compare them to your current choice. So I hope this helped you get a little bit more of a grip on weapons in Wasteland. For more information on this or any other aspect of the game, I recommend checking out wasteland.gamepedia.com. For now though, I've been Aski, and thank you for watching.